Hi there! Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are going over what I read this month for the month of March. Even though this video is April, this is like retroactive. So this is like, wait, is that the right word? This is covering the previous month, I guess. Sorry. But anyway, this is everything I read in March. Hello, yes. If you're new here, I've done this since the beginning of this year. I've done one for January and February. So I figured I'd do one for March too. Yeah. So if you're interested in all that, just keep on watching. Okay, so this month, admittingly, I didn't read as much as I wanted to, just because this month was really busy for me. I had my own book launch, which I can show you right now if you guys are interested. Hang on. I'll just show you guys the author's copy. I made a separate video on this, but this month on the 10th, my book Cursed Images was released. It is a short story collection of like scary stories of like toys and tech from the early 2000s. There's like 10 stories in here altogether, but I had a lot of fun writing this. I've been working on this for a bit. This is my first release as an independent author, so if this sounds good to you, feel free to check it out. So yeah, I was focused on releasing and publishing this month, so I admittedly I haven't done much else. I've also been kind of a workaholic this month. I've been just doing a ton of editing because I want to put Cursed Fate back out on the internet, and I want to get Cursed Descent launched too. So I've done a ton of editing this month. So I've been really just working a lot, and I've also kind of gotten back into Animal Crossing because I restarted my island, and now it's like so cute. I'm gonna have to show you guys because I'm so proud of myself. I've never had an island this cute before, so I'm very excited about that too. So that's kind of like why I haven't been reading as much, even though like I've been trying to push myself to sit down and read. It just hasn't happened. But I have finished 3 books this month, and I'm going to share them with you today. So chronological order, this is the first book I finished. Now, I talked about this in my video for February. This is a short story horror collection, short story dark fantasy horror anthology called Horoscope. It's based on the different zodiac signs. I'm in this book. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like self-pluggy. I'm in this book. I have an entry under Cancer because that's my zodiac sign. But there are 36 stories in here from a bunch of different indie authors. And I have finally finished reading through all of these. If you are interested in this, or if you already have it and you don't follow Harriet, you should know that they are taking submissions for a second volume of this book, the Horoscope Part 2, I guess. So if you don't follow them and if you want to submit to them, they have a bunch of posts on their page on Instagram of how you can submit to this anthology. I know they also plan on releasing Part 3 and 4 as well at some point in time too, because this has been a pretty popular book, I think. I'm just going to tell you which stories are my favorite in here. Some of them I really did like, and we all follow each other. All the authors do in here, so you should follow these people too. So one of my favorite stories in here is actually called The Taurus Bull, by Eric Woods. So it's kind of more of like teenagers stumble onto a monster kind of thing, but I love that story. Some other really good ones in here are, I also like, I like December 17th, 1982 by Anthony Taylor. I also really like The Shadow Goat. That's really good too. So that one, the first one was obviously Taurus. The second one I talked about, the December 17th, is about Sagittarius. And then the other one, the Capricorn one, is The Shadow Goat. I really like that one too. And then there was a Pisces entry too. And the Pisces entry I really liked. It's called My Little Minnow. So those were personally my favorites from the book. But again, there's like 36 options. So there's something for everybody in here. So yeah, if you want to support a bunch of indie authors and you're into horror, sorry for the glare of the light, but if you're into horror and you want to support a bunch of indie authors, you can find this on Amazon. Okay, so these next couple ones aren't really indie. I got them at my bookstore. So like, full disclosure, I'm such a mood reader. I have like a TBR list that's really long, but like I can't help myself from picking up books if I just feel like it. And then, like, I have, like, an order of, like, oh, yeah, I have to read this one next. I have to read this one next. But a lot of times I, like, jump around. If I see something new, I'm like, okay, this goes here. So, Yeah, I kind of jump around with my reading order. There's like some stuff that's like indie people send to me and I need to read through them. I need to do it and it's on my list, but I just lack the self-discipline to follow through if I see something new and shiny. Like, you know, like a crow, like I have crow brain, you know what I mean? But that happened with this one. So I was at the bookstore looking for something, and this is more of a novella, so it was really short. So I was really tempted to do this in between because I felt like I didn't have enough time to actually read stuff this month. So I picked up this novella. It's called River of Teeth by Sarah Gailey. Now, at the bookstore, they had this, and I don't know if it's a sequel. I think it's a sequel to it. But they had them both in the same book, but I didn't get the one that had the 2-for-1. I just got the first one because I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it or not. But I do like this one. So this is such a quirky premise. Like, this story takes inspiration from this, like, bill or law that almost was passed way back when, where it, because there was like a meat back in like Civil War times, there was apparently a meat shortage for pigs, and one of the solutions proposed to fix this was to import hippos and raise them in the Mississippi River or in like the in Louisiana and stuff. But obviously that never happened because we do not have hippos in the United States today. But this book takes that and is like, what if that did happen? And here is the ramifications of that. It's similar time period. This still takes place in the past, but it was like, I was like, oh my God. So it's a bunch of like, they have like hippo outlaw riders, kind of cowboyish. It feels very cowboyish, except they ride hippos in the swamps. And a lot of the characters in this book did not know this at the time, read through, very always up for me. They're almost all queer. So a lot of these, it's kind of like a ragtag group of bandits doing not a heist, but like a thing. They're paid to do a thing. I'm not going to say what that thing is because I don't want to spoil the story for you. But they come together and they do this thing. Main character is bisexual, I believe. There's non-binary characters. There's people who do drag. There's just like some really badass women in this. But yes, they have like one token straight, but like you don't have to worry about him. You know, he's okay. So yeah, so like a ton of queer people, hippos, cowboys in the Louisiana swamps. What more could you want? So if you're into that, this is a very short read. I might pick up the sequel. I'm not sure. I really like this book. The only thing is that I felt like sometimes it had issues with pacing. It did feel a little too fast for me, but I guess it's expected since it's a novella. I feel like there's parts of this they could have really fleshed out. There's like a romance in this that felt kind of, I understood it, but at times it would feel random because they'd be having like a serious conversation and then all of a sudden start kissing. And I was like, oh, but like, I don't really read a lot of romance. So like, maybe that's normal. I don't know. So maybe that's a me problem. But like, anyway, yeah, that was just the one thing I didn't like about the book is like that pacing part felt weird. Other than that, I really, really did enjoy this. I think you should check it out. I just think that it's like the idea is so creative. And yeah, see, this is River of Teeth. So this is the last book I read this month. This is called Planting Clues and how plants solve crimes. Now, you guys, I know this is like very stereotypical and low-key a little problematic, but I'm a true crime girl. I am, as a white lady, am a true crime lady. I don't know what it is. Like sometimes I'll like listen to podcasts or listen to stuff or like watch the documentaries about true crime, and like right before I'm going to bed, and sometimes I fall asleep to it. Girl, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, so I really enjoy true crime. If you enjoy true crime, you'll like this. It kind of goes over, like, in the very beginning, it talks about cases that were actually solved due to evidence from plants in the area. And it references Ted Bundy and a bunch of other really well-known cases of kidnappings, murders, all that stuff. But there's other parts of this book that go into, like, the science and history of things. It also talks about the science, like, the history of botany in criminology, where people study plants and mushrooms and try to bring it in as core evidence. So if you're interested in the law and like what qualifies as evidence or not, there's a section on that in there. There's also a section on like the science of classifying plants, and how kind of one goes about doing that. And then I'm trying to go through each chapter in my brain. Sorry, there's like 7 chapters in total. Again, this one is a pretty quick read too. It's not very long. I know it looks thick, but there's a shit ton of references in here and like sources quoted in a glossary. So, there's a lot of contextual information too. But yeah, so it goes through that sorting, and then my favorite chapter is actually on like chapter 6, and it is about like poisons and toxins and from both plants and mushrooms, and how that's been used to do nefarious deeds. Clearly, I mean, it talks about like the very common one that people know, like aqua tofana and like belladonna and certain ancient, like well-known poisons that have been around forever. But it also has a lot of stuff that I learned about, like more of the like issues with like foraging for mushrooms in general, like how normal people who aren't botanists probably shouldn't do that because they're very hard to classify and look at. I only say this because my family does this. So like my family goes mushroom hunting every year, and they just look for morel mushrooms to like eat. And I don't know if it's just like a Polish American thing or what, but like my family had that tradition in doing that of like foraging. Um, so nobody's died because they were looking for morels. But maybe we should just be a little bit more cautious about that. And it also talks about like traditional medicines or like alternative medicines, like the supplements and stuff, like the herbal remedies, and how like the fact checking on that or the quality control on that is very questionable, and people have gotten really, really sick and have died from these mistakes in these supplements. I really enjoy that because I actually have been playing a role-playing RPG game called Monsters of the Week, which is kind of inspired by like Supernatural, Teen Wolf, all that kind of stuff. But my character is a botanist and she studies plants and fungi. And I got this book to do research for my role-playing game because, again, I don't know, I just wanted to give out like accurate things, and I wanted to learn about poisons so that way when I play this character who is a healer and a poisoner, that like, I know what I'm talking about and I can think creatively on the fly. I like use these references for that. So I got this book for research for that, but I've been really interested in, just like, because again, most poisons are things that are actually good for you, but they're just done in too high of doses. And it's interesting because it also talks about the chemistry of the body of like what happens when you ingest a certain thing like an alkaloid or whatever, and like what it does. Like certain things will cause your muscles to contract simultaneously. Some of them, like there's this one, oh my god, crazy. It was like a powder made from a specific tree, and when you blow it in somebody's face or if you spray them with it, it like they kind of go in this like elevated state, I guess, but they're just kind of really obedient, and they retain their identity and their muscle control, but like if you tell them to do something, they'll flat out do it. And apparently this is, I mean, unfortunately, it's like a drug that's used for horrible things, and especially in Spain. But in Colombia, people have gotten like robbed because they just willingly hand over their purses, jewelry, coins, and shit to people when they ask them to while they're in this state. And then the thing is like when the drug wears off, or when the poison wears off, they have no memory of what happened. So you can see why like something like that would be used for like SA and stuff like that, and it's just, ugh, that's nasty. But I didn't know that was a thing, and apparently that's a thing. So I've gotten really into plants and mushrooms lately. I actually bought another mushroom book today from the bookstore because it was on sale, The Secret World of Fungi. So I've been on a kick with like plants and mushrooms and just like researching them. I don't know, maybe it's my second calling. I don't know what it is, but this book's pretty good if you're interested in everything I just said. Oh, and the last chapter is about more of like the illegal trade of plants and substances. So you have like normal like illegal substances like, like marijuana, or other drugs. But then there's like a whole bit about like the sale of like protected plants and like the orchid market and the orchid black market. So yeah, this is really, really interesting. Again, I feel like this is a good, like, just staple library thing to have. I really enjoy nonfiction. in the right setting. I know a lot of people don't like nonfiction, but I've been on a nonfiction kick lately, and I feel like this is a good thing to have in the library just because it feels thick and it's like one of those really quirky, like, oh, okay, like maybe not a coffee table book, but like I don't know. I just feels like to have in a collection, and it smells good. I don't know why, but the paper in this specifically smells so good. I don't know if anybody else sniffs their books, but this one smelled so good. So yeah, I really like Planting Clues. I thought it was really good. So yes, these are the 3 books I read this month. Look at them. They kind of look pretty like that. Ooh. Yeah, so these are the 3 books I read this month. I hope you enjoyed that. I typically do like a little preview of what I'm going to put in the next month's video, although I'm not exactly sure because like I say one thing and I do another. So I'm still working on a book I mentioned in the last video for February. Still trying to finish that. It's a post-apocalyptic story that has to deal with a pandemic that involves a disease that makes you laugh and stuff. So I'm finishing that one. I'm still working on it. And then I just have a bunch of stuff I need to read. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave next month for a surprise. It'll surprise you and it'll surprise me too. But yeah, if you liked everything, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what book sounds good to you. And please go ahead, like, share, comment the video. It would really help me out. And subscribe if you like this series. I like talking about books. I'm a writer myself. This is what I like to do. And if you just want to follow me along on my journey throughout my career and like my personal life, because sometimes I do more personal videos and like vlogs and stuff, feel free to subscribe. I really appreciate it. And until next time, thanks. Bye.